we thought it would be best to do it here, get as many people to come along as possible, not just students but the public as well. And tonight we have Professor A.C. Grayling, and I'm going to read from the screen because he's a rather special individual. Professor Grayling is Master of the New College of the Humanities and a supernumerary Fellow of St Anne's College, Oxford. Until 2011, he was Professor of Philosophy at Birkbeck College, University of London. Professor Grayling has written and edited over 30 books on philosophy and other subjects, and for several years wrote the Last Word column for the Guardian newspaper and a columnist for the Times. He is a frequent contributor to the Literary Review, Observer, Independent on Sunday, Times Literary Supplement, Index on Censorship and New Statesman, and is an equally frequent broadcaster on BBC Radio's 4-3 and the World Service. In addition, he sits on the editorial boards of several academic journals and for nearly 10 years was the Honorary Secretary of the Principal British Philosophical Association, the Aristotle Society. He is a past chairman of the June 4th, a human rights group concerned with China, and is a representative to the UN Human Rights Council for the International Humanist and Ethical Union. He is a vice president of the British Humanist Association, the patron of the United Kingdom Armed Forces Humanist Association, a patron of Dignity in Dying, and an honorary associate of the National Secular Society. Professor Grayling was a fellow of the World Economic Forum for several years and a member of its C100 group on relations between the West and the Islamic world. He has served as a trustee of the London Library and a board member of the Society of Authors. He is a fellow of the Royal Society of Literature and a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. And in 2003, he was a Man Booker Prize judge. In 2010, was a judge of the Art Fund Prize, and in 2011, the Wellcome Book Prize. Despite all of that, Grayling has still managed to find time to lend his immense talents to the pro-EU cause, speaking and writing extensively on the subject over the past 24 months. Today, we're going to hear from Professor Grayling and hear his thoughts on what the next steps in the fight against Brexit are and how we, as the general public, can play our part. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. For that very kind introduction makes me think that I'd better stop doing stuff, otherwise I'm going to go around to giving my talk. But really much the more important piece of information is that I used to live just around the corner here at Trinity Church Square, so I feel like I've sort of come home to the council. It's very nice to be here. Well, I would like to say two things tonight, explain two things. One is, I don't think Brexit is going to happen. I'm more confident than I've ever been that that is the case. But the second thing to say is that one mustn't nevertheless be complacent about the fact that almost all the evidence now points to the fact that Brexit is in big trouble and that it may not happen. And therefore, this campaigning endeavour must continue. And I'll explain a little bit about how this kind of endeavour is very valuable in itself, but also things that we can do to help make sure that the process of Brexit is indeed stopped, or at the very, very, very worst minimum, is reversed. My grounds for thinking as confidently as I do about the likelihood that Brexit will happen are that I have the great privilege, a very interesting privilege it is, to be the chairman of the coordinating group of all the national Remain organisations. That's for Britain, European Movement, a number of others who coordinate grassroots endeavours around the country, may be familiar indeed with the fact that in many cities around the United Kingdom, at weekends, stores on the streets, people catching hold of passers-by, speaking to them, trying to persuade soft Remainers who think that it's all over, that it isn't, and that they must get back into the fight, explaining to soft leavers why they have been very badly misled, and as the facts come in, so the clarity attaching to the fact that we mustn't leave the EU and give up our membership of this great idealistic, flawed, difficult, it's got its problems, but it is a really rather wonderful endeavour to try to make